Hello, my name is Stephen F. Austin. I was born in Virginia back in 1798, son of Moses and Maria Austin. I was sent to school at the age of 10, and I became quite educated. My father had a plan to colonize Texas, but became ill and died before the job was done. His last request for me was to finish the job for him. I did not want to, but I had to. I went on to the great land of Texas and brought many families. I designed a colony to fulfill my father's dream. I named it the Austin Colony and started advertising my colony in America, and many families came to begin their new lives here.
Well, hello there. My name is Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. I was born in Jalapa, Veracruz, in 1794, the son of a quite wealthy Spanish colonial family. I was schooled at an early age, but I became uninterested soon. At the age of 16, I dropped out of my mercantile business and joined the Veracruz Infantry Regiment. I was soon sent to battle in the Mexican Revolution. I realized that this was my true calling, my passion. Later I was assigned to a cavalry unit, which are known for brutal charges, risk-taking, and the execution of all prisoners. In 1813, I was sent to Cahuila, Texas, to silence a rebellion there. We brutally stopped the rebellion. In 1821, I was promoted to lieutenant colonel and then colonel by the Spanish viceroy. Also, in 1822, I was promoted to brigadier general and made commander of the Veracruz province. In 1834 or so, I found that there was another rebellion. Beginning in Texas, I sent my soldiers, and they discovered that the reason for the rebellion was that a man named Stephen F. Austin wanted Texas to be an independent state and part from Cahuila. This was not good. I don't agree with the suggestion, so I declined his request when it was sent. I have my reasons. I want power over the Anglos. If I give them their own state government, less power for me. We fought, and I soon gave them their state. But they are still a part of Mexico. But they weren't for long. We fought for a longer time. Austin was jailed for 2 years, and we continued to fight as he was released. In the end, Texas became independent from Mexico and became their own country.
When a government has ceased to protect the lives, liberty, and property of the people, from whom its legitimate powers are derived, and for the advancement of whose happiness it was instituted, and so far from being a guarantee for the enjoyment of those inestimable and inalienable rights, becomes an instrument in the hands of evil rulers for their oppression. When the federal republican constitution of their country, which they have sworn to support, no longer has a substantial existence, and the whole nature of their government has been forcibly changed without their consent from a restricted federative republic composed of sovereign states to a consolidated central military despotism in which every interest is disregarded but that of the army and the priesthood, both the eternal enemies of civil liberty, the ever-ready minions of power, and the usual instruments of tyrants. When, long after the spirit of the Constitution has departed, moderation is at length so far lost by those in power that even the semblance of freedom is removed, and the forms themselves of the Constitution discontinued, and so far from their petitions and remonstrances being regarded, the agents, their birth, the United States of America. In this expectation they have been cruelly disappointed, inasmuch as the Mexican nation has acquiesced in the late changes made in the government by General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, who, having overturned the constitution of his country, now offers us the cruel alternative, either to abandon our homes, acquired by so many privations, or submit to the most intolerable of all tyranny, the combined despotism of the sword and the priesthood. It has sacrificed our welfare to the state of Cahuila, by which our interests have been continually depressed. Through a jealous and partial course of legislation, carried on at a far distant seat of government by a hostile majority in an unknown tongue, and this too, notwithstanding we have petitioned in the humblest terms for the establishment of a separate state government, and have, in accordance with the provisions of the national constitution, presented to the General Congress Republican Constitution, which was, without just cause, contemptuously rejected. It incarcerated in a dungeon, for a long time, one of our citizens, for no other cause, but a zealous endeavor to procure the acceptance of our Constitution, and the establishment of a state government. It has failed and refused to secure, on a firm basis, the right of trial by jury, that palladium of civil liberty, and only safe guarantee for the life, liberty, and property of the citizen. It has failed to establish any public system of education, although possessed of almost boundless resources, the public domain, and although it is an axiom in political science, that unless the people are educated and enlightened, it is idle to expect the continuance of civil liberty, or the capacity for self-government. It has suffered the military commandants, stationed among us, to exercise arbitrary acts of oppression and tyranny, thus trampling upon the most sacred rights of the citizens, and rendering the military superior to the civil power. It has dissolved, by force of arms, the State Congress of Cahula and Tixa, and obliged our representatives to fly for their lives from the seat of government, thus depriving us of the fundamental political right of representation. It has demanded the surrender of a number of our citizens, and ordered military detachments to seize and carry them into the interior for trial. In contempt of the civil authorities, and in defiance of the laws and the Constitution, it has made piratical attacks upon our commerce, by commissioning foreign desperadoes, and authorizing them to seize our vessels, and convey the property of our citizens to far distant ports for confiscation. It denies us the right of worshipping the Almighty according to the dictates of our own conscience, by the support of a national religion, calculated to promote the temporal interest of its human functionaries, rather than the glory of the true and living God. It has demanded us to deliver up our arms, which are essential to our defense, the rightful property of freemen, and formidable only to tyrannical governments. It has invaded our country both by sea and by land, with intent to lay waste our territory, and drive us from our homes, and has now a large mercenary army advancing to carry on against us a war of extermination. It has, through its emissaries, incited the merciless savage, with the tomahawk and scalping knife, to massacre the inhabitants of our defenseless frontiers. It has been, during the whole time of our connection with it, the contemptible sport and victim of successive military revolutions, and has continually exhibited every characteristic of a weak, corrupt, and tyrannical government. These, and other grievances, were patiently borne by the people of Texas, until they reached that point at which forbearance ceases to be a virtue. We then took up arms in defense of the national Constitution. We appealed to our Mexican brethren for assistance. Our appeal has been made in vain. Though months have elapsed, no sympathetic response has yet been heard from the interior. We are, therefore, forced to the melancholy conclusion that the Mexican people have acquiesced in the destruction of their liberty, and the substitution, therefore, of a military government, that they are unfit to be free, and incapable of self-government. The necessity of self-preservation, therefore, now decrees our eternal political separation. We, therefore, delegates with plenary powers of the people of Texas, in solemn convention assembled, appealing to a candid world for the necessities of our condition, do hereby resolve and declare that our political connection with the Mexican nation has forever ended, and that the people of Texas do now constitute a free, sovereign, and independent republic, and are fully invested with all the rights and attributes which properly belong to independent nations. And, conscious of the rectitude of our intentions, we fearlessly and confidently commit the issue to the decision of the supreme arbiter of the destinies of nations. Thank you.